Welcome to Show Me the Proof, Get to the Point, the B2B marketing podcast where we show you the proof in the form of case studies and success stories. And we get straight to the point with your hosts and founders of Proofpoint Marketing, Mike and Gabby Grinberg.
And today we are so excited to have Moira van den Akker joining us on the show. Moira is the Senior Manager of Digital and Demand Generation at Trimble. That was a mouthful. Moira, welcome.
Hi guys. Thanks so much for having me.
We're so excited. Well, we know you have a pretty juicy and exciting case study to share with us today. And you mentioned to us that it was one of your favorite campaigns. So tell us, what was it all about? What did you achieve? Let's get right into it.
Yeah, I wanted to share with you one of my favorite pilots I put together. It was with our Trimble construction group. We were looking to really reach a group that we're not that successful with in an inbound forum. It was a great product. We needed to drive awareness. We were going after an expansion play. So really, we had a list of customers. They used our technology on some of their construction job sites, but they had, many more across the country that we wanted to make sure that the buyers for those different job sites were familiar and aware of our product. And so, we got into a real ABM pilot to overcome some of the challenges we were having with inbound. And I say real ABM pilot because I think there's a difference in account-based campaigns and account-based marketing, where you're really aligned with sales, going after shared targets. And that was really, I think, one of the things that I was most proud of and excited about with this campaign was that we really were aligned cross-functionally with our sales, with our leadership, with the targets we were going after. And it required, I think, a lot of planning, partnership, and the success spoke for itself.
So tell us, what were some of the success metrics? Tell us, what did this campaign generate?
Yes. So we got together, our sales team, our marketing team, and our business area manager, and we identified actually 5 one-to-one accounts, and then 15 others that we grouped into groups of 5 each for one to few. And we saw within those 20 accounts, within the first 30 days, we had 3 new opportunities raised for those accounts. So it was really quick wins. I consider myself a revenue marketer. So pipeline and closed won business are really my North Star metrics and really what I like to hang my hat on. So getting those opportunities in pipe in that short of a time frame was really a exciting achievement and something that we are very excited about as well.
I want to go back to something you said in the very beginning in terms of there being a difference between like ABM campaigns and account-based marketing. Dive into that a little bit more. Like, what is it? You obviously mentioned sales and marketing alignment. Like, I want sort of the details on that. Not only what you think it should be, but how did you achieve it in this specific case?
Yeah. I think one of the challenges I've run into as a marketer is I don't often work with sales teams that go after named account lists. So ABM, in terms of marketing and sales going after the same named account list, makes a lot of sense. But in groups, some of the teams I've worked with, it's sort of been really catering to the lead flow, right? The demand volume lead gen model, and kind of just taking whatever you kind of get, whatever bubbles up, whatever comes to you, whatever you bring in. And so this pilot was, it was expansion. It was a named customer group. And so it wasn't a hard sell. I will say I did have to pitch it. So I had to kind of bring the idea forward. I think one of the keys to success in, piloting something like an ABM is really getting the right stakeholders involved, getting some advocates and people that are going to be on your side and kind of willing to take the risk, I guess, with you that comes with trying something new and kind of put a little extra time and involvement in for trusting you and the outcome. So those were things that I also think were key to the success I had here. was making sure we had the right group, getting them together, kind of explaining what we're going after. I mean, really identifying the pain. We had a great product. We really weren't getting it in front of the decision makers that we needed to get in front of. And so we needed to find another way because our inbound methods just weren't doing what they needed to do. And so they were all ears. If you're going to find another way to help us be more successful as, the accountable business area manager, the sales team, they wanted in, so it was an easy pitch, but I did need to pitch it, and we did need to have that trust and partnership developed.
I'd love to hear, what is it that made the pitch successful, and who were the right people to get involved? Like, who were you pitching to, and who were those champions that you needed to get to get this thing across the finish line, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to look different, depending who you are. In my case, I had worked closely with this team for some time and I guess I had proven success on my side going in. They knew me. They knew kind of some of the, I'll throw this word out there, transformational work I led in other, I guess, marketing initiatives. And so I think I was lucky in that regard, but I don't think it, I got our business area manager for this group on board. And so the team sort of rolls up to him. So that made a big difference, but I don't think it needs to be that way. I think you can do a grassroots approach. You can kind of find a sales partner, get in with them, kind of learn about, I think about, where I would recommend starting too is really meeting with your sales team and understanding their sales cycle. Who are the buyers that they're talking to? Where do they struggle? Is it just getting the opportunities in the door? Is it the opportunities kind of going dead? Understanding really where the pain points are for them is what I would recommend. If you don't get the buy-in from the top, I think you can absolutely find just a sales partner to pilot something with.
And isn't that the age-old struggle, right? Of marketing not understanding sales, sales not understanding marketing. So you heard it here, folks. Talk to your teams, talk to your teammates. If you're in marketing, talk to your sales reps. And if you're in sales, talk to your marketing guys, right?
Right.
All right. Well, I see that right off the bat, there was a lot of success with the campaign, not only in getting the buy-in and selling the campaign internally, but also right within, I think you said within the first 10 days or 30 days, there was 3 opportunities. I'd like to know, what were some of the challenges, if any, that you faced when executing the campaign?
The biggest challenge that comes to mind, especially in doing a pilot, is measurement. I think when you move to account-based, you're looking at different metrics, right? You're no longer necessarily looking for your MQLs, the hand raiser leads or the bubbled up leads. You have a different account scoring engagement model. Your systems might not be set up for passing kind of an account over, flagging an account. So there's just, I think, a lot more manual work that went into measuring. Did you guys hear that? Sorry.
He was agreeing with you in the back, yeah. I think, right?
Oh, it's my son up there. I think there's a lot of manual work that we had to do to kind of understand early indicators of success before those opportunities popped up. So were we getting more account engagement on our own sites? Are we seeing more people from accounts coming to our sites? One of our tech tools allowed us to see view through rates. So accounts that were shown an ad that we had developed for them and then came to our site within that next 30 days. But those metrics were a bit trickier. I think, one of the items that I was really firm on was making sure that we had regular syncs with our cross-functional team. So I set up a bi-weekly meeting while we were kind of preparing things to keep everyone on track with the progress. And then, of course, after launch, we kept these bi-weekly meetings to make sure that we were just sharing learnings as we went. So, what were sales learning? Did they getting more insights on these accounts? And then what was marketing learning? And marketing had an opportunity to kind of show where we did have kind of those by hand metrics that we pulled together. We were able to roll those up to kind of give some insights there too. But that part was hard. That part was probably really hard. And in the growing pain phase of not having like a full ABM platform rolled out that's integrated with your Salesforce, it's a bit tricky to get that data shared across.
What did the tech stack look like, and what were the channels and assets that you were using for this?
Yeah, so we our initial proof of concept was really taking advantage of what was already in our stack. So we're Uberflip users. We have Drift, Chat. We're Marketo and Salesforce users. And so those, I think, were our key tools. And then we brought in LinkedIn advertising and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And so our campaign really consisted of something that I love about Uberflip is you can create these personalized account microsites very easily, very quickly. So you can curate content for your accounts on these microsites. So we had 5 one-to-one, and then we had a couple set up for our segmented campaigns. And then it was about how do we get this distributed? How do we get this out there, right? So we had our emails through Marketo. We then looked at advertising through LinkedIn, and we wanted to maybe explore some other ad tech. And we actually were considering Terminus, but ended up bringing in 6 Sense. 6 Sense wanted to kind of go head to head with Terminus for our business, and we ended up going with 6 Sense and bringing that in because it had the added benefit of intent, and we could use that tool for a few other purposes outside this particular pilot. So those are some of the channels we used. And of course, a key to really being successful in this personalized, targeted fashion was making sure that we did collect the insights from our sales stakeholders, from our leadership team about those accounts, about those segments, and we turned that into relevant content. Personalizing, for the one-to-one accounts, we did create a one-pager for each account that really spoke to them. Where were they currently using our technology on their job sites? What do we know were their exact pain points from previous conversations or from previous deals? And it was personalized from the sales development rep that we had on that account. And then we curated a number of other assets that were related to those pain points that we identified for those accounts. And similarly for the segmented landing pages, microsites, we looked at kind of generally speaking, what were the pain points that we solved for, and curating content that already existed and tweaking a few other pieces there. And then we used Drift for both having a chatbot on the landing page, but also for their Calendly-like feature to book directly a meeting from that landing page with kind of our sales development rep's picture on it, which is kind of neat. And then, of course, I think I mentioned our 6 Sense display ads, and so we had personalized ads for all of those things.
Moira, I'd love to know how much of the content was created prior to the campaign launch versus during. Were you iterating? Were you changing? Were you updating messaging during the campaign, or was everything kind of set before?
It's a good question. We, I would say we got most of the bulk of content set before. One of the things that we tried to do was not let the picture perfect content get in the way of getting the pilot off the ground. So there were some content pieces that we came up with after we launched. And, like I mentioned, we had these bi-weekly cadence meetings where we kind of shared learnings and insights. So as we kind of learned more from those meetings, we tweaked things in the campaign. So we might have tweaked some content messaging. We might have changed kind of some email outreach cadences or messaging there. So there was some tweaking, but I would say the bulk of it was developed prior to launch.
And how long did it take you from, let's say, from concept to pitching to your internal team to launch? What did that timeline look like?
Oh, I'm a fast mover. So if I get an idea, I'm on it the next day. People have been talking about ABM forever. So I've been dying for like the right use case to apply it in my own world. And so this, I think, idea came to me that this was, I saw that our inbound efforts weren't working, and I'm like, this isn't prime to pitch ABM. So putting materials together for that pitch probably happened, I guess, over a couple of weeks, and then having the meeting, it was a pretty easy sell, like I said. And so we probably spent a month really planning. I'd say, the initial concept, we weren't going to bring in the ad tech 6 Cents. So we were really focused on kind of content and the channels that we had. And then 6 Cents came into the picture. So we probably had a couple weeks of bringing in 6 Cents. So I'd say altogether it's about 3 months, but 2.5, 2. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I think it was actually quite quick. I'm thinking the things that may have slowed us down the most were really just organizing across our different teams.
And so I'm curious how, you were obviously we could say the project lead. Would that be correct and accurate?
Yeah.
How many folks did you have on the team executing?
So on my team, or on our marketing team executing, we had an SEM specialist involved. We had an inbound manager specialist that, I guess, demand gen, I should say, not inbound. And then there was another marketing leader. And I think there was one more marketing coordinator that was also involved, but I think the bulk of it was really between me and my demand gen specialist, with some assistance from our SEM specialist.
What were the channels that you were running to get this content in front of people? Was it just display, or were there other, I think you mentioned LinkedIn too?
Yeah. LinkedIn, email. So yeah, 6 Cents display, LinkedIn, email. Those were the primary, I think, channels that we were using to go outbound with.
And I'm curious of specifically around the display piece, how useful was it? Like how that channel in particular, because I have an opinion about those things, and I'll keep that to myself for now. We can talk about that afterwards if we have some time, but I'm curious and I'm not even talking about attribution because that's hard, but what impact were you able to see specifically from that channel? And the follow-up question to that would be do you think you could have had the same success without it, either, maybe just doing sort of the DIY LinkedIn ABM on your own kind of thing, or, something like that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And it came up, right? Who's actually going to click on display ads? Who's doing that these days? Which is why I like the view through rate metrics that we were able to get. And so those metrics, I mean, those I was much more interested in because we certainly, I think, weren't seeing a ton of people clicking. I think, again, coming back to what I found was challenging was really the metrics. Really, how were we able to raise those 3 opportunities in that short period of time? We did see, a lift in account engagement. That metric was provided through 6 Cents, same with the view through advertising metrics, but it did seem a little mysterious. I'll fully admit that. How did it happen? It was hard to directly correlate the work we were doing with those opportunities, but they were a lift. So, do I think we could have done it without the ad tech? Maybe. I think there's always, where there's a will, there's a way. But it certainly made it a lot more easier, a lot more quicker, and we were able to just get those metrics through that we wouldn't have been able to get through just a LinkedIn. And the targeting, I think, as well, right? LinkedIn is a little bit different in the targeting than a 6 Cents segments that you can set up. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed using it. I thought it was a great tool. It's still in our stack in construction, and we use it in a variety of ways outside this campaign. But tough to say, would we have had the same success?
Just for anybody maybe who's listening that hasn't used the 6 Cents, what kinds of, talk us through what are the types of segments that are available, and how is that, better than not having it, pretty much?
Right. Yeah, Sixth Sense offers a lot of different criteria you can use to build a segment. So if you have your named account list, or you want to use SIC codes, NACES codes, you have, different job titles, things like that. You can build, segments across anything. So one of the reasons that we brought it in was also to look at doing competitor campaigns. So I think actually, and I forgot to mention, intent is a big one. So keywords. So knowing like who is looking at keywords on our site or on other sites in their network is, I think, huge, very beneficial. So I was about to say competitor campaigns, we could find people that were searching keywords that are relevant to indicate that they were in a buying mode. They were in market looking for a solution that we provided, but they hadn't visited our website, for instance, so the segment we could build. Or they visited a competitor, or they looked up competitor keywords. We could build segments around that. So there's a lot of flexibility. I think there's a lot you can do with it. It's just probably having the market intel for the right messaging to present for the different segments you can build, I think was the key piece there. The tech allowed you to do a lot, but did you have the market intelligence, the messaging, and the right kind of message to put in front of that segment to win them over?
So I have one last question, and then I think we have to get to the point, which is how can our listeners replicate your success and do this at home? But before we do that, what was the duration of the campaign, and at what point did you consider, what was sort of the end goal? What was the stopping point where you said, okay, this pilot is now complete? Like, how did you sort of wrap everything up with a bow?
Yeah, I mean, we kept running it. Like I said, I think it's an expansion play. So the target, and I actually don't think I really went into the details, but the target were top general contractors in North America. So as long as their businesses are growing, they always have more job sites that they're looking to bring the technology into. So there wasn't really like a finite point in time that we would say, business is done with these groups. I actually did move on to another role within Trimble. So I handed the keys over to some of my just to the team itself, actually, that was still there. And as far as I know, they kept running with some good success for the next couple of months.
So it was a tremendous pilot. It was a tremendous campaign because even after you moved on, they continued to run the same test, which is a testament to building a strong engine and having it hum and do what it's supposed to do. So kudos to you, Moira. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think now it's time to get to the point. So at this part of the show, we ask you, how can our listeners do this at home? Usually when you hear this on TV, don't do this at home. We're actually the show that says, do this at home. We're bringing the experts.
Especially these days, because everyone's at home.
Right, exactly. We're bringing the experts to the show, and we're letting them tell you exactly how to do this. So let's break it down. You talked a little bit about the tools. We went over that. We talked a little bit about kind of making the case, bringing this up to your team and getting it sort of off the ground. But what do you think are some other key factors to your success that you think are very relevant and important details if somebody wants to run a similar pilot?
Yeah, number one, if I haven't stressed it enough, I think is the alignment with your sales org. Really understanding the pain that you're trying to solve for. So, where in your funnel are you trying to kind of provide a little extra support or a boost? And then I think part and parcel to that is also using them as your resource to really draw out insights, truly relevant account insights that are going to make your messaging and your marketing stand out because you truly are resonating with what they care about at a level that you can't necessarily do when you're doing kind of an inbound casting a wide net, right? You're going out with the spear. So you're going out with a lot more personalized, relevant message. And I think there's only so much you can do as a marketer researching, depending who your audience is. So being able to really rely on your sales team is having those conversations with those accounts is really key too. So I would certainly recommend those two things. And then to not overcomplicate it, right? I think that's the other big piece that can sometimes slow people down is to focus on maybe all the things you don't have, or all the things that could be, and allow those to get in the way of doing what you can do today. I like to say your minimum viable product in marketing. So what do we need to just get things out the door, to start to learn, to start to test, and to start to iterate? Those would be my recommendations. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. I think I got that wrong, but you know what I'm going after: progress, not perfection.
No, you got it. You got it square on the head.
Good. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Don't let the what is it? Good be the enemy. No, now I'm messing it up.
It's perfect is the enemy of the good.
Exactly. Yeah, you had it perfectly right. No, that's very true. And I think, I think we can all agree, we're all three marketers here on the call today. If there's anything that we've learned as being marketers, especially B2B marketers, is that our jobs are never done. There's always more to do. There's always more iteration to bring forth. There's always things to test and learn. So I think your insights there are spot on, that, don't get hung up on the details, get it out, test, learn, and go from there. So I love all of that feedback, and it is always good to be reminded of that, I think, sometimes. You've showed us the proof. We've gotten to the point. Now it's time for our lightning round. So this is fun. I think you're going to enjoy these, and I'm excited to hear some of your answers. Moira, what are the main KPIs you use to evaluate marketing success?
Oh, always revenue. Marketing source revenue is a big one for me. And then pipeline, right? And I guess, those are my two key metrics that I really like to focus on. I'm a firm believer, especially if we are talking demand gen, volume, lead base, you can't stop at an MQL, marketing qualified lead. You really have to understand the quality, and the only way to do that is to measure it all the way down the funnel.
What's a new marketing strategy or tactic that you're looking forward to testing this year?
That is a tough one. I am a self-proclaimed MarTech geek, so I'm always on the lookout for cool new tools and technology. But one of the things we've been focused on, my team's been really focused on, and I wouldn't say it's new, but I think it's really important. We really need to flush out our persona content further, and to really be able to cater to the different personas that we're speaking to in a more, I think, like a continuously developed and continuously working on how we better understand them and better cater to their specific needs. So one of the things that we've recently done is we leverage a tool we have at our stack called LeadSpace to build out custom persona scoring and segmentation. So we've segmented our database by these different personas, and we have some content, but we're really looking to really flesh out each of the questions they have along their buyer journey, and then be able to sort of serve that up, whether it's updating our nurture programs, or if it's account-based campaigns, that we're running, that we are driving, I guess, the persona specific messaging throughout those, and not just focusing kind of on one overarching message. So I wouldn't say it's a new strategy, but I think the more you can really understand who you're talking to and cater to them, the better. Sorry for that long answer in this lightning round.
No, not at all. I love it. Okay. What, you can answer this in one of two ways. What is your favorite, or what is your least favorite business word or catchphrase?
So I'm not a big catchphrase, business jargon, terminology person. I will say, a word that my team rallies around is greatness. And I say that because, I guess just echoing our point earlier, I think we so often are looking out for perfection that it stops us from just doing great things. I have a team, I think, of competitive spirits. I have a competitor, and, often the team I work with, we're all really competitive and wanting to be kind of the best and do the best work we can. But we sometimes get hung up, I think, on what best perfection looks like, and to really focus on greatness is something that I really like to emphasize, to make sure that we are continuing to just improve day by day.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm a recovering perfectionist, as I like to say. So I think, again, that's a really good reminder for all of us listening. And greatness is a wonderful word to have unify your team. So I love that answer. What are some of the podcasts you listen to most frequently?
I'd love to say Proofpoint when this goes live. One of my favorites right now is the State of Demand Gen. I think it's really interesting. I also love Demand Gen Radio or Demand Gen TV if you want to listen on YouTube. And then I think a few others that come to mind are The Marketer's Journey from Uberflip as well. I actually have a blog on the top 15 podcast that I listen to that I redid for 2021. So you guys can check that out on my blog if you want to see all 15 that I recommend.
Yeah. Tell us what's your blog? We want to share that.
Super easy. It's MoiraVandenAkker.com. I say super easy, although that's a lot of letters. My name is very difficult to spell. But MoiraVandenAkker.com, and you can find my blog post. I think I posted a few posts back at the beginning of January.
Well, and for those listening, I have to say that Moira's blog is really top notch. I've been following along. First of all, I love it because you are taking this idea of making it very lifestyle focused, but adding it to the B2B, it's B2B, but lifestyle, if that makes sense, right?
It's a work in progress. I can say that.
It's B2B, it's lifestyle, but it's really chock full.
It's the B2B lifestyle.
It's a B2B lifestyle. It's chock full of really valuable insight and just really smart observations from you, Moira, as a B2B marketer. And I love your blog when you do post and share about it. So we'll make sure to have the link in there for others to go check it out. Okay, this is, oh no, we have a few more here. What's your favorite business or marketing book?
What's my favorite business or marketing book? One that I have had on my desk that just recently popped up, and I don't know if it's a thorough marketing book, but I think it's pretty interesting given kind of what we just talked about. Is it's by the CMO of Sixth Sense. It's called No Spams, No Forms, No Cold Calls, and I think it's pretty interesting because it speaks to, we can put ourselves in the shoes of buyers as well as, I guess, our marketers, and really getting past sort of those annoying tactics that come at us. Nobody really wants to fill out the form anymore. Nobody really wants to get these cold calls and all of that spam. And so what is the way around it? And I think they do a really nice job of explaining kind of this new philosophy, this new approach. And of course, it's a little, I think, promotional for Sixth Sense, but it actually has a lot of value for marketers. Latney shares a lot of her approach and how she sets her marketing strategies. So I think it's a cool book.
Awesome. We'll have to check that one out. All right. Here's our bonus question. And we'll have to maybe give some color around it later. But who is the most famous person that you've had the opportunity to meet?
You guys are looking at him right behind me here. I've had dinner with Ringo Starr. So that would probably be my most famous person that I've been able to meet in my lifetime.
That is amazing. And so we'll have the video, but for those that are listening, Moira is sitting in what I think looks like your dining room or living room. And behind her, she has these amazingly awesome portraits of all four Beatles. And we can see Mr. Ringo Starr right behind her. And for those of you who know me, you know that I'm a huge Beatles fan. And so when we had the opportunity to connect with Moira prior to the show, we discovered that she actually has this amazing connection to Ringo. So that was pretty awesome. Okay, as a quick follow-up, and just because I'm curious, what is your favorite Beatles album or song?
That is like the hardest question you can ask someone, isn't it?
I know it is. I know it's almost like a trick question because you could say all of them and I'd be okay with that.
Well, what is yours, Gabby? What is yours?
Oh goodness, you're gonna turn the tables on me. My go-to, it obviously depends on my mood. I would say Revolver's my favorite album. But if I had to pick just one Beatles song, which is, like I said, impossible, I would say Eleanor Rigby, because I really love the orchestration. I love the storytelling of the song. It's a mood, it's a vibe. I think it's one of the most beautifully written but also melancholic songs, and it just shows the depth of the Beatles and sort of their range from being very pop, rock and roll, to also just beautiful storytellers. So that's my favorite.
I mean, I'm gonna say Yesterday, but honestly, it's impossible. Like I don't know. I can't pick just one. Mike, do you have a favorite?
I don't know that I have a favorite. I'm also not as big of I like the Beatles. Don't get me wrong. I'm not nearly as big of a Beatles fan as Gabby is.
That's true.
Like if you ask me to name more than 10 Beatles songs, I'm not sure that I can do that off the top.
I don't know how we're married, to be honest with you. I don't know.
I think you might be like the only person I've ever heard say that's not a big Beatles fan.
What I mean by that is like I love their music. I think it's great. I just like I don't know that I'm like a big fan of any musical group or anything. I don't know. Like
he's not like Die Hard. Like I know the albums, I know the songs. He's just like, yeah, that's cool. I'll listen to it. I think that's more Mike's vibe. Yeah. Sure. But I'm with you, Moira. I love Yesterday, but at the same time, I just love all of them. Right? They're so good. Every one of them, even the ones that I don't really like, I still like them. You know.
I know.
All right. We can probably go on and on about the Beatles, but we won't because this is not a Beatles podcast. This is a B2B marketing podcast. So last question, Moira, who is a B2B marketer that you admire or follow on LinkedIn?
You know, again, who's someone that I think if you haven't heard of them, you should go follow because he posts really interesting things. Chris Walker from Refine Labs.
Yep.
I think he says some really interesting, provocative pieces of content. And then I would also say you guys should follow Mike on LinkedIn because you also have been posting some really interesting and provocative kind of thoughts. And I actually love the way that you guys share kind of your business philosophy, you know, what you're living day to day. I think that's really cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We've heard, you're not the first person to say Chris Walker. And actually, if I were in your shoes, I would probably say Chris Walker myself. So Chris Walker, if you're listening, you've got some fans here on Show Me the Proof, Get to the Point. And we'd love to have you on the show as well, Chris. And Mike, I would agree with you, Moira. I think he shares some pretty awesome B2B content. But I'm not in your shoes, so I will say that you are someone that I really admire and love seeing your content on LinkedIn. So we have some wonderful people to follow. If those listening today, follow all of us because we're all great B2B marketers. Well, thank you so much. This has been delightful, Moira. Thank you for joining us today. What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you?
Oh, please find me on LinkedIn. And of course you have my blog. But yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I don't think there's another Moira van den Akker out there. So there's no numbers. It's just my name.
Awesome. And we'll have the links to your LinkedIn and to your blog for everyone to share once this episode is live.
Thanks for tuning in to the Show Me the Proof, Get to the Point podcast. Join us weekly for new episodes and seriously smart B2B marketing success stories. We'll show you the proof and get to the point every time. Find additional resources on the Proofpoint website, www.proofpoint.marketing, including the full episode library with show notes, guides, templates, and more great resources. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe, and please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.